Hey BookTube! Welcome back, and today I'm so excited to do my top most anticipated horror reads of the year 2021. I primarily read horror and thriller, so basically these are just like my top 7 most anticipated reads for this upcoming year. Got a bunch of stuff listed on my phone, descriptions, release date, so I'm just going to go through those and I'll hopefully be able to get some photos of the potential book covers in this video as well. So let's dive in. Okay, so we'll get the big one out of the way first. One of my most anticipated reads, and none of these are in any specific order, these are just how I threw them together, how I found out about them. But one of my most anticipated reads will be Stephen King's upcoming novel, Later. It will be released on March 2nd, 2021, and it is rumored to be one of 2 books that he will be releasing this year, though he hasn't come out with any statements about the second novel, so we're just going to talk about this one. So let's see. So March 2nd, 2021, that's when this book will come out, and the description is, sometimes growing up means facing your demons. The son of a struggling single mother, Jamie Conklin just wants an ordinary childhood, but Jamie is no ordinary child. Born with an unnatural ability his mom urges him to keep secret, Jamie can see what no one else can see and learn what no one else can learn. But the cost of using his ability is higher than Jamie can imagine, as he discovers when an NYPD detective draws him into the pursuit of a killer who has threatened to strike from beyond the grave. Later is Stephen King at its finest, a terrifying and touching story of innocence, loss, and the trials that test our sense of right and wrong. With echoes of Stephen King's classic novel, It, Later is a powerful, haunting, unforgettable exploration of what it takes to stand up to evil in all the faces it wears. So this to me actually sounds more like his 2019 release, The Institute, which was one of my top 10 books of 2020 that I read. And I'm really into this. I really like how Stephen King writes kid characters. I'm on board with the supernatural, and I like that this is going to be more of a crime book. He's gotten more and more into like detective stories recently, especially with like the Bill Hodges trilogy and The Outsider, which I really like. So this sounds really, really fun to me, and it will be released by the publisher Hard Case Crime, which has done a few of his other books recently. So let's go on to my second anticipated read, and that is Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. So I actually discovered Ronald Malfi this year. I read his book Snow, which I really liked. I tracked down a copy of December Park, which is no longer in print, and I haven't started reading it yet, but it is supposed to be an absolute masterpiece, and I really want to get my hands on this upcoming Malfi book because his books don't stay in print too long, it seems. I also just picked up his 2017 release Bone White, which I think is about a Wendigo, so I'm just really interested in Malfi. I really liked Snow, and I really want to see what this book will be all about. So it'll be released on July 20th, 2021, and it is described as a masterful, heart-palpitating novel of small-town horror and psychological dread from a Bram Stoker nominee. Aaron Decker's life changes one December morning when his wife Allison is killed. Haunted by her absence and her ghost, Aaron goes through her belongings, where he finds a receipt for a motel room in another part of the country. Piloted by grief and an increasing sense of curiosity, Aaron embarks on a journey to discover what Allison has been doing in the weeks prior to her death. Yet Aaron is unprepared to discover the dark secrets Allison kept, the death and horror that make up the tapestry of her hidden life. And with each dark secret revealed, Aaron becomes more and more consumed by his obsession to learn the terrifying truth about the woman who had been his wife, even if it puts his own life at risk. So right off the bat, I really like the premise of a husband being haunted by his ghost. Malfi, at least judging by what I read with Snow, likes to take really cliche concepts and make them very unique and original. So definitely interested to see what he does with this type of story. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, next up, this is probably going to be a big one on everybody's list, is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which will be released on July 13th of 2021. So I really, really like Grady Hendrix. I discovered his work this year. He wrote My Best Friend's Exorcism, which was one of my top 10 reads of 2020. He also released the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires back in 2020, which I read. Really fun read. I really like how he is able to incorporate kind of campy and whimsical concepts with a lot of the more horrifying and terrifying subject matters that he plays with. So I think this could be really, really cool. Let's see what the description is. It says, the Final Girls support group is an homage to slasher films and follows 6 girls who belong to Survivor's support group that has been meeting for nearly 2 decades. The girls, the publisher elaborated, managed to survive the unthinkable, and now someone is coming for them. This is the description from Goodreads. There's actually not many descriptions available for this book. I don't even think the full cover art has been released yet. They have just this kind of like placeholder on the Amazon cover preview, it looks like. So I'm really interested. I would love to hear a little bit more about this book, but I mean, it's Grady Hendrix. I'm going to read what he writes. I really, really like him as a writer, so it could be about anything, and I'd probably pick it up. Okay, so next up is going to be Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which comes out on June 29th of 2021. As if you've seen my video on my top 10 reads of 2020, I know I'm referencing a lot of stuff from that. You'll know that his 2020 release, Home Before Dark, made it into my top 10 list. I really, really enjoy Sager's work. I like that he basically puts forward a story and you think you know how it's going to go, and he totally flips it on his head. His writing is definitely not for everybody. If you want something clear cut and haunted and just very basic, he is not for you. He really likes to throw in twists and turns at every possible corner, which I think is really fun as a reader. So let's read what this one is about. So it's November 1991. George H.W. Bush is in the White House, Nirvana's in the tape deck, and movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. Ooh, okay. So Josh Baxter, the man behind the wheel, is a virtual stranger to Charlie. They met at the campus ride board, each looking to share the long drive home to Ohio. Both have good reasons for wanting to get away. For Charlie, it's guilt and grief over the murder of her best friend, who became the 3rd victim of the man known as the campus killer. For Josh, it's to help care for his sick father. Or so he says. Like the Hitchcock heroine she's named after, Charlie has her doubts. There's something suspicious about Josh, from the holes in his story about his father to how he doesn't seem to want Charlie to see inside the car's trunk. As they travel an empty highway in the dead of night, an increasingly worried Charlie begins to think she's sharing a car with the campus killer. Is Josh truly dangerous, or is Charlie's suspicion merely a figment of her movie-fueled imagination? What follows is a game of cat and mouse played out on night-shrouded roads and in neon-lit parking lots, during an age when the only call for help can be made on a payphone and in a place where there's nowhere to run. In order to win, Charlie must do one thing: survive the night. Okay, so this sounds awesome. I love true crime. I listen to more bit of true crime podcasts pretty religiously, so I'm really into like detective stories and serial killer stories, as weird as that sounds. I read The Whisper Man by Alex North last year, which was awesome, and I highly recommend it. So I'm really interested to get into this, especially because I know Riley Sager is going to make you think that one of the people in the car is the serial killer, and it's totally not going to be that at all. Like, that's just my prediction, but like Riley Sager is so into making you think one thing and pulling you left and right, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? That's actually what's going on? I'm really excited. This should be really, really fun. Okay, so next up is The Whispering Dead by Darcy Coates, which will be out on May 4th, 2021. I discovered Darcy Coates this year as well. I read The Haunting of Ashburn House by her, which I really liked. I qualify her as like cozy horror. Her work isn't really groundbreaking and it's not super terrifying, but it is very like original, and she does focus primarily on the haunted house genre, which I really, really like. And it's just easy and fun to read. Like you could really just curl up by a fireplace and read her book, and it would kind of be like how I imagine back in like the 1840s, like people who would read Dickens would want to read ghost stories, you know, like it's not going to keep you up at night, but it is going to be really, really fun and engaging, and that's what I like about Darcy Coates. So her description for this book is: USA Today bestseller and rising queen of atmospheric horror, Darcy Coates returns with a ghost story that will haunt you long after the final page. She hears them whispering, ... And then it goes, homeless, hunted, and desperate to escape a bitter storm. I think this is pronounced Kira, K-E-I-R-A. Kira takes refuge in an abandoned groundskeeper's cottage. Her new home is tucked away at the edge of a cemetery surrounded on all sides by gravestones, some recent, some hundreds of years old, all suffering from neglect. and in the darkness she can hear the unquiet dead whispering. I like that. The unquiet dead. The cemetery is alive with faint spectral shapes led by a woman who died before her time, and Kira, the only person who can see her, has become her new target. Determined to help put the ghost to rest, Kira digs into the spirit's past life with the help of unlikely new friends and discovers a history of deception, ill-fated love, and murder. But the past is not as simple as it seems, and Kira's time is running out. Tangled in a dangerous web, she has to find a way to free the spirit, even if it means offering her own life in return. So this sounds like it's going to be classic Darcy Coates, especially the inclusion of, with the help of unlikely new friends. I feel like that's something that Darcy Coates really likes to throw in there. So yeah, this seems like it's going to be fun. Again, I don't think it'll be like super groundbreaking or whatever, but I just love reading her stuff because it's fun and it's pleasant, even if it is a ghost story. So that's definitely something that I am looking forward to. Okay, so then we have, I'm so bad with saying this guy's name, and I'm so sorry, but we're going to be doing Echo by Thomas Oldhoefelt. I don't know. The guy who wrote Hex. He's a Dutch author. This says that Tor Nightfire is releasing it, and the cover is to be revealed. This book actually came out a few years ago, but was only released in Dutch. So this will be the English translation, and it will be released on October 12th, 2021. I really love this author. I thought Hex was brilliant. It did make it into one of my top 10 reads of 2020, and it was just so unique, and I really liked how he incorporated the digital age into like an old school witch story. So this description says, from international bestseller Thomas Oldhoefelt, comes Echo, a harrowing novel of obsession and the destructive force of nature. Nick Grievers, let's go with Grievers, that sounds better. Nick Grievers and his climbing buddy Augustin are drawn to the Maudit, a remote mountain peak in the Swiss Alps. Documentation on the mountain is scarce, its slopes are eerily quiet, and when they enter its valley, they get the ominous sense that they are not alone. Something is waiting for them. Not long after Nick wakes from a coma to find Augustine dead, or Augustine, I'm not sure, whatever, Augustine dead, Nick's face is maimed and wrapped in bandages. A long rehabilitation awaits, but Nick soon realizes that it isn't just the trauma of the accident that haunts him. Something has awakened inside him. Ooh, okay, so this sounds really fun. I was hoping it was kind of go in like a Bigfoot Yeti kind of thing. I don't know. But maybe it's going to be like a demon haunting. I don't know. But this sounds like a really fun concept. I actually kind of like that it isn't going to be set entirely in the mountains too. So we will see. I really like when things are set kind of in like the European wilderness. That was my favorite thing about Adam Neville's The Ritual, which is a book I didn't love, but I did really like the setting. So I'm excited to see what this book holds in store, and it should be really fun. I can see already just by the description it's not going to be like anything else that's really out there right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, and last but not least is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, which will be coming out on August 31st, 2021. So I am not a fan of Stephen Graham Jones. I read The Only Good Indians, which was released in 2020, and his novella Night of the Mannequins, which was also released in 2020. Kind of in the same, in like a month apart, I think. I don't really like his gonzo form of writing at all. But he's a very respected author, and I do think that he has original concepts to present. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what he's going to release. I will be reading this book. I don't know if I will love this book. I don't expect to like this book, but I do expect it to not be like anything else I have read within the year. So I'm checking it out because I really want to keep giving him a chance, because so many book reviewers that I really respect see a lot of potential or really like Stephen Graham Jones. I do know that I need to probably read Mongrels. I've heard that is an amazing werewolf book. So I will be reading this. I am going in with low expectations though, but I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I did not like his 2020 releases. So this book is, here's the Amazon description. In her quick, gentrifying rural lake town, Jade sees recent events only her encyclopedic knowledge of horror films could have prepared her for in the latest novel from the Jordan Peele of horror literature, Stephen Graham Jones. Okay, I hate that. I hate that we call him the Jordan Peele of horror lit. I think Jordan Peele is brilliant. I think he does some really interesting things. I don't necessarily know if Stephen Graham Jones is up to that caliber, but I digress. Let's keep going. Jade feels like she's trapped in a slasher film as tourists go missing, and the tension between her community and the celebrity newcomers to the Indian Lake shore heads towards a tipping point, when she feels the killer will rise. Jade watches as the small town she knows and loves begins to head towards catastrophe, as yachts compete with canoes and the celebrity rich change the landscape. Sweet Jesus. Even this description is like difficult to read. It's like such a long sentence. Let's try this again. Jane watches as a small town she knows and loves begins to head towards catastrophe as yachts compete with canoes and the celebrity rich change the landscape of what was designated parklands to develop what they call Terra Nova. This new novel from the acclaimed author of The Only Good Indians and literary master, Stephen Graham Jones, is a must-read, exploring the changing landscape of the West through his particular voice of sharp humor and prophetic violence that will have you cheering for the American heroine we need. Alright, so this is my issue with Stephen Graham Jones. He loves his run-on sentences, and he loves to like just plop you right into like a different timeline when you're reading. Like even the back of that book, those sentences were so long. But yes, I will read this book. I will review this book, and we will see what goes along with it. But yeah, so those are my 7 most anticipated books of 2021. I have a little list of some other books that I'm really interested in, but nowhere near as much as those. Like, they're re-releasing Goblin by Josh Malerman, as well as Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Garcia Moreno, who did write Mexican Gothic, which was a fun and enjoyable 2020 read. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff will be coming out. I've never read anything by Jay Kristoff, but this book has so much hype around it that I'm interested to read it. And then, of course, The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, which I actually know nothing about, but I keep seeing it recommended, so I do think I will eventually pick that up. But yeah, so those are my top picks of 2021, and I will be sure to review all of those books right here on this channel. I will also be, of course, adding more and more books to my 2021 read list as more books are announced or I hear more intrigue about certain books that are coming out. But that's all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.